Have you ever caught yourself replaying a conversation from 3 years ago and thinking, why did I say that? Or maybe you're stuck in an endless cycle of what ifs. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not good enough? Here's the thing, not every thought deserves a seat at your table. Our minds are like over-enthusiastic radio stations, broadcasting every fear, doubt, and criticism on full volume. And if we're not careful, we start believing these thoughts as if they're gospel truth. But let's be clear, just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. Overthinking isn't a superpower, it's self-sabotage in disguise. It keeps us stuck, drains our energy, and stops us from showing up in our lives the way we want to. We replay past mistakes, stress over things we can't control, and convince ourselves we're not ready. But when has overthinking ever actually helped? At the heart of it all is perfectionism. We think if we analyze everything to death, we can avoid failure or rejection, but life doesn't work that way. Courage isn't in over-preparing, it's in trusting yourself enough to take action. So how do we stop? How do we get rid of the noise? First, we set boundaries with ourselves. Not every thought gets to take up space in your mind. When a negative thought creeps in, ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this true? If not, let it go. Second, we choose presence over perfection. Most unnecessary thoughts live in the past or the future, but life is happening right now. Gratitude is a powerful antidote. When we focus on what's good, there's less room for what's not. Lastly, we remember that bravery isn't about never doubting yourself. It's about moving forward despite the doubt. So take a deep breath, clear the mental clutter, and make room for the thoughts that actually serve you. Your mind is your home. Don't let unnecessary thoughts clutter it. Have you ever had a thought so convincing that it felt like an undeniable fact, only to later realize it was completely false? Maybe you believed someone was mad at you because they didn't text back immediately, only to find out they were just busy. Or maybe you convinced yourself you weren't qualified for an opportunity, even though you had all the skills and experience. Our thoughts can be powerful, but they are not always accurate. The human mind is like a storyteller, constantly weaving narratives, filling in gaps, and creating meaning where there might be none. But here's the catch. Our minds don't always tell the truth. In fact, they can be quite dramatic, biased, and overly critical. Think about it. How many times have you imagined the worst case scenario, only for reality to turn out completely fine? How often do you assume what other people are thinking about you, only to later realize they weren't thinking about you at all? Our thoughts have a way of distorting reality, making problems seem bigger than they are, and convincing us that we are not enough. This is especially true when emotions are involved. If you're feeling anxious, your mind will generate thoughts that reinforce that anxiety. If you're feeling insecure, your mind will find proof to confirm your insecurities. This is called cognitive bias, the brain's tendency to favor thoughts that align with its current state, even if they aren't based on reality. The danger in believing every thought is that it limits us. If we assume every fear, doubt, or insecurity is true, we stop taking risks. We hold ourselves back from opportunities, relationships, and experiences that could bring us joy and growth. So how do we challenge the thoughts that don't serve us? Pause and question. When a thought pops up, don't accept it at face value. Ask yourself, is this thought based on facts or just my emotions? Would I say this to a friend? If not, it's probably not the truth. Look for evidence. If you believe you're not good enough, look at the proof that says otherwise. Recall moments where you succeeded, where you made an impact, where you showed up for yourself. Shift your focus. Instead of obsessing over negative thoughts, redirect your attention to something more constructive. What can you learn? What action can you take? Practice self-compassion. Not every thought deserves to be believed, but every thought can be met with kindness. Instead of beating yourself up, remind yourself, I am human and not every thought defines me. The key to mental freedom is realizing that your thoughts are just that, thoughts. They are not prophecies, they are not absolute truths, and most importantly, they do not have to dictate your life. Imagine this, you have a big decision to make. Maybe it's applying for a new job, starting a relationship, or taking on a new challenge. You start weighing the pros and cons, thinking through every possible outcome, considering every worst-case scenario. At first, this seems responsible. After all, careful thinking is a good thing, right? But then the thinking doesn't stop. You start imagining all the ways it could go wrong. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I embarrass myself? The longer you think, the more doubts creep in. Suddenly, the decision that once excited you now feels overwhelming. Instead of taking action, you stay stuck, paralyzed by your own thoughts. This is the trap of overthinking. It disguises itself as preparation, logic, and responsibility, but in reality, it's just fear in disguise. It's not about being careful, it's about being afraid to make the wrong move. And when fear drives your thinking, it leads to self-sabotage. Why? Overthinking holds you back. It creates problems that don't exist. Overthinking often means inventing issues that aren't even real. Maybe you hesitate to speak up in a meeting because you think people will judge your ideas. In reality, no one is thinking about you that much. They're too busy worrying about themselves. But in your mind, you've already convinced yourself that you'll sound foolish, so you stay silent. It wastes time and energy. The more you think, the less you do. Overthinking drains your mental energy, leaving you exhausted before you've even taken action. You spend so much time analyzing how to do something perfectly that you never actually do it. Instead of making progress, you stay stuck in a loop of doubt and hesitation. It lowers your confidence. The longer you overthink a decision, the more uncertain you become. Even if you were initially excited, overanalyzing can make you doubt yourself. You start asking, am I really capable of this? What if I'm not good enough? This self-doubt chips away at your confidence and keeps you from stepping into your full potential. It prevents growth. Life is about learning through action, not just thinking. Every time you overthink and hesitate, you rob yourself of an opportunity to grow. Instead of experiencing new things and learning from mistakes, you stay in your comfort zone, safe but unfulfilled. How to break free from overthinking. Set a decision deadline. Give yourself a time limit to make a decision. Instead of endlessly analyzing, commit to choosing within a set time frame. This forces you to trust yourself and prevents you from spiraling into doubt. Focus on progress, not perfection. No decision will ever be 100% perfect. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, focus on making progress. Action, even imperfect action, is better than staying stuck in your head. Challenge your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is it true? If your thinking is based on fear rather than facts, it's time to let it go. Shift your focus to what you can control, taking action. Practice trusting yourself. You don't need to have all the answers before you start. Confidence comes from doing, not from thinking. The more you trust yourself to figure things out along the way, the less you'll feel the need to overanalyze every step. Take small actions. The best way to silence overthinking is to take action. Even a small step forward can break the cycle of mental paralysis. Instead of debating whether to go for a run, put on your shoes and step outside. Instead of overanalyzing an email, hit send. The more you practice taking action, the easier it becomes. Perfectionism is often mistaken for a positive trait, something that helps us achieve excellence and push ourselves towards success. But the truth is, perfectionism isn't about being your best. It's about being afraid of failure, judgment, and not measuring up. It's not a pursuit of excellence, it's a prison of self-doubt. And worst of all, It fuels unnecessary thoughts that keep us stuck, anxious, and overwhelmed. The perfectionism trap creates an endless cycle of overthinking, self-criticism, and fear-based decision-making. Instead of focusing on progress, we obsess over avoiding mistakes. Instead of celebrating our wins, we fixate on what wasn't good enough. And instead of taking action, we delay, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Think about it. How many times have you rewritten an email 10 times before hitting send? How often have you held back from sharing your ideas because they weren't perfect? How many goals have you abandoned because you felt like you weren't ready yet? Perfectionism convinces us that if we just think harder, plan more, and refine every tiny detail, we can control the outcome. But here's the truth. No amount of overthinking will ever eliminate uncertainty. Life is messy, unpredictable, and beautifully imperfect. The more we chase perfection, the more unnecessary thoughts flood our minds, telling us we're not ready, not worthy, or not good enough. How perfectionism fuels unnecessary thoughts. It creates self-doubt. Perfectionism makes us believe that our worth is tied to flawless performance. If we don't meet impossible standards, we label ourselves as failures. This constant pressure creates unnecessary thoughts of, what if I'm not good enough? What if they think I'm a fraud? Thoughts that do nothing but hold us back. It leads to overanalyzing and procrastination. Perfectionists often struggle with decision-making because they fear making the wrong choice. Instead of taking action, they overanalyze every possible scenario. This leads to procrastination disguised as, I just need more time to get it right. But perfectionism doesn't lead to better results. It leads to stress, indecision, and missed opportunities. It traps us in fear of failure. Failure is a natural part of learning and growth. But for perfectionists, failure feels unbearable, like a reflection of personal inadequacy. This fear fuels thoughts like, I can't afford to make a mistake, or if I don't succeed, I'll never recover. Instead of seeing failure as feedback, we see it as proof that we're not enough. It prevents us from enjoying the process. Perfectionism shifts our focus away from growth and toward impossible expectations. Instead of appreciating our journey, we obsess over every misstep. Even when we achieve something great, our minds immediately jump to how it could have been better. These unnecessary thoughts steal our joy and keep us from celebrating our progress. How to overcome perfectionism and silence unnecessary thoughts. Redefine success. Success isn't about being perfect. It's about learning, growing, and taking action despite uncertainty. Shift your mindset from, I must do this perfectly, to, I will do my best. Learn from it and keep moving forward. Embrace good enough. Perfection is an illusion. Most of the time, good enough is exactly what's needed. Instead of obsessing over tiny details, ask yourself, would this still be valuable even if it's not perfect? More often than not, the answer is yes. Focus on progress, not perfection. Instead of aiming for flawless execution, aim for steady improvement. Celebrate small wins, acknowledge your effort, and remind yourself that mistakes are stepping stones, not roadblocks. Limit overthinking by setting deadlines. If you struggle with perfectionism, you probably spend too much time second-guessing yourself. Set time limits for decisions, projects, and tasks. For example, instead of tweaking a presentation for hours, give yourself a strict 1-hour window. This forces you to trust your instincts and move forward. Reframe failure as feedback. Every mistake is a lesson, not a reflection of your worth. When you feel yourself spiraling into unnecessary thoughts, ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of seeing failure as an endpoint, see it as part of the process. Practice self-compassion. You are human, you will make mistakes, and that's okay. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend, with kindness, encouragement, and understanding. When unnecessary thoughts creep in, replace them with self-compassion. I am doing my best, and that is enough. Final thought, perfectionism is a thief. Perfectionism steals your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. It convinces you that you must be flawless to be worthy, but the truth is, your value is not measured by how perfect you are. It's measured by your courage to show up, take action, and keep going, imperfections and all. So let go of the unnecessary thoughts, let go of the need to be perfect, and start embracing the beautifully imperfect, real, and authentic version of yourself. That's where true success and true freedom begins. We often think of courage as something loud and heroic, standing up to adversity, fighting against the odds, making bold, fearless moves. But real courage, the kind that transforms your life, it's quieter than that. It's not always about pushing forward, it's about knowing when to let go. Letting go is one of the hardest things we can do. It feels unnatural, almost like we're giving up. But in reality, letting go is not about losing. It's about making space for something new. It's about releasing what no longer serves you, old fears, toxic relationships, perfectionism, regret, unrealistic expectations, so that you can step into a life that is lighter, freer, and more authentic. But here's the catch. Letting go requires trust. It requires trusting that you don't need to hold on to every thought, every doubt, every past mistake to be safe. It requires trusting that you are enough, even without the things you've been clinging to. And most of all, it requires the kind of courage that whispers, you can move forward, even if you don't have all the answers. Why letting go is so hard. If letting go was easy, we'd all be doing it. But most of us struggle because of three things. Fear of the unknown. We hold on to things even when they hurt us because they feel familiar. Even pain can feel safer than uncertainty, but growth lives in the unknown, not in what's comfortable. The illusion of control. We convince ourselves that if we just hold on a little longer, if we replay that conversation in our heads, if we overthink every outcome, if we keep trying to fix what's broken, we can change things. But control is an illusion. The only thing we ever truly control is ourselves. Attachment to identity. Sometimes what we hold on to isn't just a habit or a thought, it's who we think we are. If we've identified as a perfectionist, a people pleaser, or the person who always has it together, letting go of those things can feel like losing a part of ourselves. But who you are is not defined by your fears, your past, or your struggles. Who you are is who you choose to be today. What letting go looks like in real life, letting go of overthinking. Overthinking keeps us stuck. We replay conversations, analyze past mistakes, and worry about the future, as if thinking more will somehow give us control. But true courage is found in the ability to say, I've thought enough, now it's time to act. Letting go of the need for approval. If you spend your life trying to make everyone happy, you will end up exhausted and unfulfilled. The truth is, not everyone will like you, and that's okay. The real question is, do you like yourself? Courage is choosing to live in a way that feels right for you, even if it means disappointing others. Letting go of past mistakes. We all have regrets, things we wish we had done differently, words we wish we could take back. But holding on to past mistakes doesn't make us better. It just makes us heavier. Forgiving yourself is one of the bravest things you can do. It's the moment you stop punishing yourself and start learning from your experiences instead. Letting go of toxic relationships. Some relationships drain us. They make us feel small, unworthy, or like we have to constantly prove our value. It takes courage to walk away, to set boundaries, to say, I deserve better. But every time you let go of someone who isn't meant for you, you make room for people who truly see and appreciate you. Letting go of perfectionism. Perfectionism is not about being your best. It's about being afraid of failure. It's the voice that says, don't try unless you can do it flawlessly. But life isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. Letting go of perfectionism means giving yourself permission to show up, make mistakes, and grow without shame. How to build the courage to let go. Acknowledge what's holding you back. What are you afraid of? What are you clinging to and why? Awareness is the first step toward change. Challenge the story you're telling yourself. Is it true that you can't move forward without closure? Is it true that you're not good enough unless you're perfect? So many of our fears are built on false beliefs. Question them. Practice small acts of letting go. Start small. Let go of a minor worry, an unnecessary apology, or the need to control a tiny detail. Every time you release something, you prove to yourself that you are capable of living without it. Trust yourself. You don't need to have all the answers to take the next step. You don't need to know exactly what's ahead to move forward. Trust that you are strong enough to handle whatever comes next. Embrace the space that letting go creates. When you let go of what's weighing you down, you create space for what's meant for you. New opportunities, new relationships, new versions of yourself. Letting go isn't losing, it's making room for something better. Final thought, courage is choosing freedom. Holding on may feel safe, but real safety comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. Letting go is an act of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the future, faith that you don't need to carry everything to be strong. So take a deep breath, unclench your grip, and remind yourself, courage isn't just about pushing forward. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go. Most of us understand the importance of physical boundaries. We lock our doors at night, set passwords on our devices, and put fences around our homes to protect our space. But what about our mental space? What about the thoughts, worries, and negativity that invade our minds, drain our energy, and leave us feeling overwhelmed? Mental boundaries are just as important as physical ones. They define what we allow into our thoughts, emotions, and overall well-being. Without them, we absorb stress that isn't ours, overcommit to things that exhaust us, and let the expectations of others dictate how we feel about ourselves. Learning to create mental boundaries isn't just about avoiding negativity, it's about reclaiming your peace, your focus, and your emotional freedom. What are mental boundaries? Mental boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your thoughts and emotions from unnecessary stress, self-doubt, and external pressure. They help you separate what belongs to you, your values, your energy, your priorities, from what doesn't belong to you, other people's expectations, toxic criticism, and the noise of the world. When you don't have strong mental boundaries, you might find yourself overthinking conversations long after they're over, taking on other people's emotions as if they're your own, saying yes to things you don't want to do out of guilt or obligation, feeling mentally exhausted even from minor interactions, constantly seeking approval or worrying about what others think. Mental boundaries allow you to filter what enters your mind, helping you focus on what truly matters rather than getting lost in unnecessary thoughts. Why mental boundaries matter? 1, they protect your mental energy. Think of your mind like a house. If you leave the doors open all the time, anyone can walk in, bringing negativity, stress, or opinions that don't serve you. But when you set boundaries, you decide who and what gets to enter. This means being intentional about the thoughts you entertain, the conversations you engage in, and the emotions you absorb. 2, they reduce overthinking and anxiety. Without mental boundaries, it's easy to get trapped in overanalyzing every situation. You replay mistakes, Worry about things outside your control and let self-doubt take over. By setting mental boundaries, you can recognize when your thoughts are spiraling and shift your focus to what is actually important. 3, they help you say no without guilt. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they don't want to disappoint others, but constantly saying yes when you want to say no leads to burnout and resentment. Creating mental boundaries means understanding that you are not responsible for managing other people's feelings at the expense of your own well-being. 4. Improve relationships. Healthy boundaries don't push people away. They bring clarity to your relationships. They help you communicate what you need, what you're comfortable with, and what you will not tolerate. This allows for deeper, more authentic connections based on mutual respect rather than guilt or obligation. How to build strong mental boundaries. 1, be mindful of what you consume. Your mental space is influenced by what you expose yourself to. Social media, news, conversations, and even your own inner dialogue. Ask yourself, is this information helping me grow or is it draining me? Am I consuming content that makes me feel inspired or insecure? Do I need to take a break from certain influences? Protecting your mind means curating what you allow in. Limit exposure to negativity, toxic people, and fear-based media. Choose thoughts, books, and conversations that uplift you instead. 2, recognize what's yours and what's not. A huge part of mental boundaries is understanding what belongs to you and what doesn't. Someone's bad mood, not yours to fix. Other people's opinions of you, not your responsibility. Unsolicited criticism, not something you have to accept. When you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, is this my burden to carry? If not, let it go. 3, stop over-explaining yourself. You don't owe everyone an explanation for your decisions. If you don't want to go to an event, you don't have to justify it with a long excuse. If you need time alone, you don't have to convince anyone why. A simple, no, that doesn't work for me is enough. Over-explaining often stems from a fear of disapproval, but true mental freedom comes from standing firm in your choices without seeking validation. 4, practice saying no without apologizing. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear disappointing others, but constantly putting other people's needs above your own will leave you drained. A simple, no, I can't do that is a complete sentence. You don't have to apologize for protecting your time and energy. 5, limit your emotional availability. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy. If you find yourself constantly absorbing other people's problems, it may be time to set emotional boundaries. It's okay to listen without taking on someone else's stress. It's okay to step away from draining conversations. It's okay to prioritize your mental well-being over other people's demands. Being there for others is important, but not at the expense of your own peace. 6, set a mental curfew. Your mind needs rest just like your body. If you're constantly thinking about work, relationships, or responsibilities late into the night, it's time to set a mental curfew. Avoid stressful conversations before bed. Set a time to stop checking emails or social media. Practice mindfulness to quiet your thoughts. Creating a cutoff time for mental stress helps you wake up refreshed instead of exhausted from overthinking. 7, reframe guilt as a sign of growth. If you're not used to setting mental boundaries, you might feel guilty at first. That's normal. But guilt doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're breaking old patterns. Remind yourself, taking care of my mental health is not selfish. Saying no to what drains me means saying yes to what fulfills me. Final thought, protect your peace. Your mind is your most valuable space. If you don't set boundaries, the world will fill it with distractions, negativity, and pressures that don't belong to you. But when you take control, when you decide what you allow in, what you release, and what truly deserves your energy, you reclaim your power. So take a deep breath, stand firm, and remember, creating mental boundaries isn't about shutting the world out. It's about letting the right things in. In a world that constantly demands our attention, our minds are rarely quiet. We're bombarded with notifications, responsibilities, expectations, and an endless stream of thoughts, some useful, but most unnecessary. The noise of self-doubt, comparison, regret, and worry fills our mental space until we feel overwhelmed and disconnected from what truly matters. But here's the truth. You have the power to silence the noise. And two of the most powerful tools for doing so are gratitude and presence. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already here. Presence grounds you in the moment, stopping your mind from racing ahead to the future or dwelling on the past. Together, they create a sense of clarity and peace, allowing you to experience life without the constant chatter of unnecessary thoughts. Why the mind is so noisy. Before we talk about how gratitude and presence can quiet the mind, we need to understand why our thoughts get so loud in the first place. We live in a culture of more. Society conditions us to believe that we are always one step away from happiness. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll feel confident once I lose weight. I'll finally relax when I have more money. This mindset creates mental noise because it convinces us that right now is never enough. We become trapped in a cycle of chasing the next thing, never fully appreciating what we already have. 2, we overthink everything. Our brains love to analyze. We replay past mistakes, worry about what others think, and imagine worst-case scenario. Overthinking creates unnecessary stress, making it hard to focus on the present moment. 3. We compare ourselves constantly. Social media and modern culture have made comparison an unavoidable part of daily life. We see carefully curated highlights of other people's lives and assume we're falling behind. This fuels thoughts like, why am I not as successful? Why does their life look so perfect? Am I doing enough? Comparison robs us of peace because it shifts our focus to what we lack rather than what we have. How gratitude silences the noise. Gratitude is more than just saying thank you. It's a mindset shift, a conscious decision to focus on what's good in your life instead of what's missing. When you focus on gratitude, shifts your perspective. When you focus on gratitude, you stop seeing life through the lens of abundance. Instead of thinking, I don't have enough, you begin to see, I already have so much. Consider this. Instead of stressing about the job you hate, you can be grateful for the income it provides. Instead of worrying about aging, you can be grateful for the wisdom that comes with it. Instead of focusing on what's wrong in your life, you can acknowledge what's going right. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring hardships. It means not letting them consume you. 2, gratitude helps you stop overthinking. When you're truly grateful for the moment, you don't need to overanalyze it. You don't need to question if you're doing enough or if something bad is around the corner. Gratitude brings trust. The trust that right now, in this moment, you have everything you need. 3, the gratitude makes comparison irrelevant. You can't compare your life to someone else's when you're focused on appreciating your own. Instead of seeing what others have, gratitude allows you to focus on what you have. And when you realize how much there is to be thankful for, the need to compare disappears. How presence silences the noise. Gratitude helps you appreciate what you have. Presence helps you fully experience it. Most of the noise in our minds comes from living in the past or the future. The past fills our thoughts with regret, resentment, and things we can't change. The future fills our thoughts with anxiety, uncertainty, and expectations we can't control. The present moment is the only place where true peace exists. When you learn to be present, you stop giving power to thoughts that don't serve you. One, presence anchors you in reality. Many of the thoughts that stress us out aren't even real. They're imagined scenarios, hypothetical